In this video, I'm going to break down everything you need to know about Pokemon Scarlet and Violet before you start your adventure. Let's dive in. I've got about 30 hours of gameplay in Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, and I'm going to give you guys some tips and tricks on how to make the most out of your adventure. So let's talk about it. First of all, take your time exploring the game. There are a ton of nooks and crannies and things to explore, and each area has different things like items in the ground, TMs, random items, new Pokemon that are kind of hidden out in different areas, all sorts of stuff. So really, just take your time. There's no rush to kind of fly through the storyline or do anything like that. I highly recommend you just stroll around and really enjoy it. I like to use the phrase, you can only play a new game for the first time one time, so really take that and explore and really kind of enjoy every single one of the areas on the map. I'm gonna put up a recommendation on screen on the levels and the way you could play through the game to kind of have the game be the most smooth experience in terms of levels and level jumps. You can see here that it may be a little counterintuitive to what you kind of thought, so if you want to use this or screenshot it or save it, that'll be helpful for you. Otherwise, just play whatever order you want as long as you're not nuzlocking. Worst case scenario, you'll run into an area that's a little harder for you, you'll get wrecked, and then you'll realize you have to go back another time. Gimmighoul is one of the coolest little gimmicks, much like Spiritomb or Zygarde cells in the past, but the good news is they do respawn. The best way to get Gimmighouls is the towers. They feature Gimmighoul chests, which often give you 50 or 60 coins, so search out those towers. Otherwise, just listen for the little audio cue of Gimmighoul making his noise. Oftentimes they're hanging out by Pokemon centers, and you can pick them up, and ultimately you want to get to 999 so you can evolve your Gimmighoul into its evolved form. I personally think that the Tera Raids feature is awesome in this game. It moves a lot more fluidly than in previous games, but don't stress about your Tera types because you can change that later if you grind enough. But the Tera Raid dens are a lot of fun. They're a great way to get XP, great way to get some cool items, and ultimately catch Pokemon at different parts of the game than you otherwise would catch. Like, you can find Pokemon that are much later in the game, but you can find their pre-evolved forms through Tera Raid dens. So I highly recommend you kind of seek all of those out. Keep an eye out for shiny Pokemon. In this game, there's no audio cue for shinies, so if a shiny pops up, you won't actually know by any other means outside of the fact that it's a different color. So it might be useful to kind of go and research some of the different shiny Pokemon in the area to make sure that you know exactly what they all look like before you go into it. I'll have another video on the channel kind of breaking that down for you guys, so you can check that out. I'll try to put it in the description below, but you don't have to stress about it. Your Let's Go feature won't KO them, but you just want to keep an eye out for those shinies so you don't miss them. Mass outbreaks are in the game, and that's a really good way to find shinies early game. The main shiny hunting method is kind of locked in the post game though, so don't stress too much about it. You'll probably run into a few shinies on your journey just because of how many Pokemon spawn if you do take the time to explore. The new Let's Go auto battle feature is phenomenal, and I highly recommend utilizing it from the get-go. There's a few reasons why you want to use it. One, it'll register pages in your Pokedex for you as seen Pokemon, and two, it's going to farm materials for you. 3, it's going to give you XP on your entire party. Those materials are really crucial in being able to craft TMs later on, some of the strongest TMs, and it's just easier to do it as you go. Just be mindful of over leveling so you don't kind of, cruise through the game and kind of ruin some of that gameplay experience. Again, the nice thing is the auto battle feature does not KO shinies. It'll actually refuse to do that, which is really cool. And a fun note is your Pokemon can actually die in this auto battle, so just be mindful of that. You may not know this, but the Pokedex actually features a battle pass of sorts where you can unlock different evolution stones and things like that as you play through the game and just check your Pokedex. So I recommend after you catch a bunch of Pokemon to just check your Pokedex, and you can unlock those different evolution stones to help you advance a little faster. Before I cover the rest, I do want to let you guys know that I actually created my own monster game as well called the Lestrals, which is live on Kickstarter right now. You can check it out. We've raised over $250,000 so far in just 2 days, and I would really appreciate your support. It's an awesome card game that's easy to pick up for new players, but with deep levels of complexity, and we're creating our own monster franchise with incredible Elestrals, so I would super duper appreciate your support in backing our Kickstarter. If you like anything I've ever done, you're gonna love Elestrals. I'm telling you, it's got great gameplay, great monsters, and we're working on building something truly special. How awesome would it be to be at the ground level, day 0 of a brand new monster franchise? Get it on Elestrals, the Kickstarter, available now. Check the link in the description, and thank you so much for backing. I highly recommend you turn off autosave. Autosave is on by default in this game. I don't think it's necessary. I always turn this off. If you're someone who's forgetful, maybe it's for you, but the game does still have some frame issues and some glitchiness and things like that, so until they get more patches out, I would be mindful of crashes. I personally didn't have any crash issues as playing through the game, but it's something to be mindful of because it's definitely a thing that could happen. So I just want to urge people to turn off autosave. You can always save if you find a shiny, and it'll still be there as well, which is a nice feature. But I just would hate for someone to lose a ton of data because autosave is on or they get locked into an area. The game is very new. It does have some glitchy issues and some frame rate issues, so just be mindful of that. I do recommend turning off autosave in your settings. You can play with your friends in co-op mode, so if you have friends or family who want to jump in, you can do that, and they can explore your world and add things to their Pokedex and all sorts of stuff, but they can also steal your shinies, so just be mindful of that. If your buddy's playing on your game and a shiny pops up, they can actually take it from your world, so just be mindful there. You can skip trainer battles in this game. In previous Pokemon titles, when you encounter a trainer, the little thing pops up and they engage in a battle with you, but in this game, you can actually skip them, and I did pretty much my entire playthrough by skipping trainers, so that's up to you entirely. I didn't find them to be worthwhile, but you may find them to be worthwhile. There are rewards in each zone for beating a certain amount of trainers, but I didn't find the rewards to be worthwhile. So again, that's up to you. I found that by doing Tera Raids and auto battling Let's Go, I was able to get to the levels I needed to without having to go mindlessly beat up trainers that were not a challenge anyway. Koraidon and Miraidon, your ride Pokemon, are actually determined from the first time you get them. So if you're trying to get better stats, don't even bother. It's not worth your time, in my opinion. And there are different features of like surfing and gliding and climbing and all that stuff. Those are unlocked by Titan battles. So as you progress through the game in the Titan storyline, you'll unlock more features for your Koraidon and Miraidon. So again, kind of goes back to the order I recommended earlier. That's kind of the optimal order to go through from a level perspective and just kind of playability perspective. But again, that's kind of the deal with them. You're going to unlock those abilities as you play through the game. The starter Pokemon are indeed shiny locked, so don't waste your time at the beginning of the game trying to get a shiny starter. It's not something that's going to happen. You can, however, get them through the picnic feature by breeding later on if you wanted to, but again, that's going to be a pretty tedious task early game without kind of the item enhancements and shiny charms and things like that. So if you want to grab your shiny starter, you're going to have to do it through breeding, unfortunately. Although I will say I do think that there's a chance that they come out with like some exclusive event for Tera Raid dens down the road. One of the coolest things is a lot of the battle items are available right away. So as you get to the first main city, Mesagosa, there's a Delibird shop that they recommend you go to, and there's a few of them sprinkled throughout the region in different kind of cities, and those Delibird shops sell some of the best held items you can get. I highly recommend saving up some money and grabbing some of those. It'll make your gameplay experience much better. This is the first time they've really done this with Pokemon, and I think it's a huge quality of life improvement. The fact that you can buy like a Choice Scarf or buy like a Focus Sash, or even some of the lesser held items like Muscle Band or Sharp Beak or Never Melt Ice, like those can actually make a significant buff, doing like 20% buff to some of your Pokemon attacks. So take advantage of the Delibird shops. That's probably the best use of your money, in my opinion. The school does offer a ton of different classes. I personally chose to skip most of them. I didn't find them worth my time, but as you go through the classes, you can take your classes and then midterms, and then ultimately go through the different things for like biology and math, and you will learn some valuable things about Pokemon as you go through those, and they will give you some different unlocks like candies and stuff, but it's definitely not a necessary feature. So if you're more about the gameplay experience, the classes are certainly not necessary in my experience. Just a note, it's about a 2-hour kind of gameplay experience before you can get to the true open world. I think they do a good job of kind of leading you into it from the beginning. The first area that you get introduced to is pretty open, but it'll be about 2 hours before you really get to just explore everything. And I recommend, like I said, just going through it, enjoying it, taking your time, exploring the entire world, and just having a blast. Because again, you can only play a new game for the first time, one time. So go out there, trainers, and have a blast. Those are all the things you need to know before you start Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. I would love it if you would check out my Kickstarter for Elestrals, available now for just a few weeks. The only time you can get the Founders Edition of my brand new monster franchise. And I hope you guys enjoy Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. It's going to be a wild ride. I'm excited to show some love and have some fun with it myself here on the channel. Thank you guys so much. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.